Hi guys, it's Aaron Wilson. I'm outside the Texans practice facility parking lot adjacent to NRG Stadium, and they had a very long, hot practice today. Got in some good work. I thought they made some progress on offense, so let's get into it. We'll start with injuries and availability. I like to kind of go through those. Some progress, CJ Gardner-Johnson doing some things on the side field, along with Elijah Huzzie and Trent Brown. So progress being made for all those guys. No Joe Mixon, of course. We've talked a lot about Joe Mixon, and he's been out of sight. So definitely not out of mind, though. And another practice, consecutive practices for Cam Robinson, Christian Harris, Damian Pierce. They ramped up the activity for Robinson. While he didn't begin with the starters, he did work in with the first team offense. And there was configurations even where Drew Scruggs stepped in for Ed Ingram at right guard. They had in that Cam Robinson iteration of the first team offensive line, the right tackle was Titus Howard. Of course, Blake Fisher is still out with a sprained ankle, so it was interesting to see how they lined up. And they definitely had a interesting day, I would say, with the offense. But the first people to go out there, it was comprised of rookie Ariati Ursary, and left guard Laken Tomlinson, center Jake Andrews, and right guard Ed Ingram, and right tackle Titus Howard. And Ursary did have a couple issues where he was beaten, a couple of rough two-play set, where he got beat by Derek Barnett, who's also full go now, along with Foley Fadakasi. Barnett beats him for a sack, and so does Daniil Hunter. So the rookie still learning on the job, having his moments, definitely looks good in the games, and in practice too, but not every single time is he winning his battle. This is a great defense, and it's tough to play against them. I'd be remiss if I didn't leave with a little bit of news from Nick Caley, the Texans offense coordinator. He said that he likes to look people in the eye, and he will be calling plays from the sidelines. He feels he communicates more efficiently from the sidelines. He experimented with the booth for the Vikings game against Carolina when they ran the football well and had that touchdown pass from C.J. Stroud to Nico Collins. Nick Caley was on the sideline, and that's where he said he intends to coach this season. So it was a good thing for Nick Caley to be out there, and I thought that he was just, comfortable from the sideline. So that's what way he says he's going to operate going forward this season in his first year calling the plays for the Texans and at the NFL level. So a few other things, give you some notes on defense. Christian Harris line up with the ones. I thought he looked very fluid in coverage, moved very well. Good day for Christian Harris. And Matt Burke afterward called him a great football player, and they're just trying to do all they can to have him out there. There were configurations where they had Jalen Petrie playing some deep safety, so they're continuing to look for ways when they don't have C.J. Gardner-Johnson out there to still get the most talented 11 that they can have out there. So that might mean they experiment a little bit. There are some times when Kamari Lassiter has played some nickel when they are in a obvious nickel situation. So they have done that a little bit too. And a couple things that I saw in terms of having that configuration. You had a 3 linebacker set at times where you have Azeez Al-Shire, Henry To'oTo'o, and Christian Harris. And it's all about getting the best players on the field. So you just want to have talent, not just necessarily, I like this configuration so he can't play. No, absolutely not. Another big day on offense for Xavier Hutchinson. Diving catch while paired against Derek Stingley Jr. Throw was from C.J. Stroud. So some good moments for the offense, and so I thought that was interesting to see. Definitely one thing on Harris, besides the coverage I mentioned, there was a really well-designed fire blitz for him up the middle, and he gets the sack. So good job by Christian Harris of getting to quarterback. So and he came in under control, and so I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. I feel like he has really made these strides in terms of his health, and the timing couldn't be better to have him get healthy. A couple other things on just with the overall aspect of the team. I feel like, talking to Frank Ross, especially his coordinator afterward, there are going to be some very tough decisions, and he's going to have to make some recommendations. Like he says, you got to be a good salesman with who you decide to pitch to Nick Caserio, D'Amico Ryans, or just special teams. So he hadn't seen one of my favorite movies. I told him afterward, I didn't want to bore everybody at the podium about Glengarry Glen Ross, which has a great Alec Baldwin monologue. ABC, it's an acronym. Always be closing. Always be closing. Every salesman that's seen that movie, it really resonates. It is a salesman movie, so it's a very good one, and highly recommend it. Yeah, and I am a big fan of the movies and certain prestige television. Love to watch as much as I can. So a couple things that went on there. I think it was a good day for the Texans overall, and saw Jalen Noel get involved with Davis Mills down the field. Saw some good timing with Braxton Berrios and Davis Mills. So those guys, also Luke Lachey. So they did some stuff as far as getting the football out, and some short things that they did. They also involved the backs. Dario Moale got a pass. Christian Kirk, who's as they call it, the slot wizard or the slot magician. He's good. And so just overall, a good day. Some action for Woody Marks with a first down. There was a first down for a couple of other guys. So yeah, a pretty good one for the offense. I think this is one of those ones where the defense just didn't beat them like a drum. There were some pressure packages. There were some safety blitzes. There were some linebacker blitzes. So Matt Burke, the defense coordinator, did roll out some stuff. A long run for Jahar Jordan, who's in for a fight. He started trying to make the roster, and so it's going to be tough. But there are definitely some pass on the roster just for special teams. Some of the guys I'm keeping a close eye on include D'Angelo Ross. I think Tremont Smith is a lock. I feel like Jake Hansen could make this team on special teams. British Brooks, another one. Special teams ability. But Jakob Johnson has it too. So it's going to be a few tough calls next week when the Texans are trying to figure this whole thing out. Roster moves. Yeah, roster. I love roster moves, as you guys know, into the personnel stuff, tryouts. So as I reported yesterday, they had Juwan Winfrey, former Colt, former Packer, wide receiver, and they added him after a successful tryout. I also reported early in the morning, Cornell Powell, former Clemson national champion, former Kansas City Chiefs practice squad wide receiver. He was signed too. So why do they need two wide receivers? Well, you traded John Mechie III, as you know, to the Philadelphia Eagles, and Xavier Johnson, Ohio State, close friend of C.J. Stroud, unfortunately, he broke his hand. So with a broken hand, can't play right now. They are waived injuring him. He will revert to injured reserve. We'll see if they do an injury settlement for Xavier Johnson. So some roster moves here a couple days before we go to Detroit for the joint practices with the Detroit Lions. Excited about those. I think it's going to be great work, and it's real cool competitions, and I'll be there every step of the way from Motown or the 8 Mile or whatever you want to call it, Detroit City. I'll be there in Michigan bringing you guys coverage, and of course for KPRC2 with Randy McElvoy and R. Alexander, and at www.click2houston.com. Guys, we are about at close to like 14,700, so we're getting closer and closer to the 15K. Would love to get there soon. Feel like the channel has been really vibrant. Appreciate all the comments. I hit like and I watch them all, and I try to respond as many as I can each day. So yeah, please keep posting, keep swiping, keep writing your takes, because your opinions are just as valid as mine. I like to hear from the fans, and I want to hear from you guys. So yeah, please weigh in there. A couple other things, just I think, because people have asked me this about the offensive line. I don't think it's over for Cam Robinson. I think that they are open-minded toward having Robinson there and Ursery over at right tackle. So they're going to keep experimenting, and a lot of this will come back to health. But this was his real first full day back. Yesterday was kind of a walkthrough day, but he's trending in the right direction. I don't expect a lot of starters, I said it before, to play in the preseason game at Ford Field. I do expect them to give an extensive amount of work, and obviously in sort of a scrimmage situation with the Lions. Hopefully that is a safe scrimmage and not too intense. The Lions are a very physical team under Dan Campbell's direction, They play hard-nosed, tough football. So do the Texans. So we'll see how that mixes together, and it'll be interesting to watch. So we have that. We have the preseason game. Next week we have roster cuts. So we got a lot going on with the Texans, and we didn't play the game yet. And I saw Matthew Stafford practicing, and I saw Daniel Jones has been named the Colts starter. I think that makes the Colts a better team, more consistent quarterback than Anthony Richardson. So it makes sense that I think if anything, that blitz where Richardson got dinged, that may have been a really key moment because it was his fault that he got hit so hard because he didn't check out of it, wasn't using that good spatial awareness of what the defense is bringing. So CJ Stroud wouldn't have made that mistake. Too smart a quarterback, too well-schooled in blitz awareness to make an error like that. But it's the little things like that that make the difference between starting and not starting. And I think they just feel more comfortable with Jones. So we'll see him if he's healthy, I think twice this season, and it'll be competitive. So yeah, that's most of my thoughts. We're going to have practice tomorrow. I will be at the practice, and then I've got to get to the airport over to Bush Airport to fly to Detroit, where we'll continue to take this show on the road. Guys, until next time, please watch, like, subscribe, and also you can see my stuff on Twitter /X at @AaronWilson_NFL, and Instagram AaronWilson7128, and of course free of charge at www.click2houston.com. No subscription necessary. Guys, thanks very much. Talk to you soon.